there is no point, coming to Oxford and just being aimless, like a headless chicken. The value of certain constants wasn't exactly what they were, then the entire universe wouldn't exist. I made my dua, now I'm here and I'm watching people do what I did.
Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. Welcome to the Al-Birr Podcast.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, excited to be here.
So, Ustad, you're currently a physicist at the University of Oxford, I believe. It seems like you're in a library right now. Where exactly are you?
Yeah, so I'm in my college library. So I study at New College, which is one of the oldest colleges at Oxford. And so I thought to get us in the mood of studying and talking about learning, I'll get in the library.
Yes. Okay, so do you want to tell me something that you love about physics?
Yeah, so I think one of the topics that we learn about actually as part of our GCSE course is gravity. It's quite an important topic, especially in the 20th century. There's been a lot
Definitely.
of good work and a lot of money that's been invested into learning about gravity. Um, and so the way I would explain how gravity works is that if you imagine a trampoline, so that the floor of a trampoline,
Yeah.
obviously, if you jump on it, it will go down and spring you back up, right? Um, that is how space works and how space interacts with mass. So if you can imagine like a planet, like the Earth, and a
Yeah.
big object like the sun, then what do they do to space? Well, imagine in comparison a small ball on a trampoline and a really, really huge ball in the middle of that trampoline.
Mhm.
What would that really, really huge ball do, i.e. the sun? Well, it would cause a dent in the trampoline that would cause the rest of the trampoline to curve around it, right?
Yeah.
And then the ball on the outside, that's really small, you can see that if you just gave it a small nudge, it would roll around on that curved surface. That's exactly how gravity works. So
And
space
that's
is
how
like a
planets
trampoline.
orbit. That's how
Yeah,
planets orbit
exactly.
around, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So space is like a trampoline, and the mass of planets and the mass of things causes a dent in that trampoline surface. And that's exactly how space works. So yeah, I think I've always found that quite interesting, and it's actually quite recent. It was Einstein who came up with that theory, or general relativity, in the 20th century. It's led to a lot of groundbreaking discoveries. It's quite cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It kind of sounds like we're in a physics class right now and you're just teaching me. So have you always wanted to be a physicist, Ustad, or did you like any other topics in school or anything like that?
Yeah, so I think naturally, I was always quite interested in maths, and I enjoyed the classes. I think at GCSE level they are quite similar. The skills are very similar as well. Um, but I think I have since I was in year nine, so I was like 13 years old. I wanted to be a physicist, um, and I think this stemmed from when I was around 13 years. This was the age where I was just thinking about lots of things in life, and I was quite curious. So I'd look up and um, I can remember looking into the sky a lot, or looking around and like just asking how did things get here, and how did things start? And so that leads you to thinking about, okay, well, um, how did God create the universe? And watching lots of YouTube videos and learning about there's lots of different theories. You have the Big Bang theory. You have um, another theory called the Big Bounce theory, about how the universe began. Um, but yeah, I think it was interesting at that age. It was almost like it helped me solidify my belief in God. I found that the more I learned about physics, the more I was trying to like understand God's work, and I could really like take a step back and say, wow, this is like really cool. SubhanAllah, this is, I can see just a glimpse of how complex and how uh, what do you call it? How beautiful of a design there is, and there really is. Like we learn in physics that if the value of certain constants wasn't exactly what they were, then the entire universe wouldn't exist. Um, and
That's really
so,
interesting.
yeah, I think it's one of the things I really found from the age of 13. I started reading about, and I haven't really stopped since. But alhamdulillah, and I think, yeah, that led me obviously to picking maths, further maths, physics, chemistry, and my EPQ at A level. So I was fortunate enough to get 5 A stars in those, and I did my EPQ on an idea in quantum computing, um, which uses an idea in quantum mechanics and physics to help build really, really fast computers. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I've seen that
in
online. Yeah.
5 to 10, yeah, in 5 to 10 years, you'll see quantum computers become a bit more mainstream, and they're a lot more faster than everyday computers.
So did,
Um,
so Ustad, how did you after completing your A levels, how did you know you wanted to come to Oxford and why did you choose Oxford?
yeah, so I think it's a difficult choice to make, especially at such a young age. Especially for myself, I'm not really from Oxford, so I was moving away from home.
Or where
But
did you used to live originally?
so I'm from East London.
Ah, very nice.
But yeah, it was definitely a difficult choice, and I wasn't too sure about it. I think um, in the few months before my university applications, I spent a lot of time speaking to teachers and speaking to Muslims at Oxford and Cambridge, because there were the two universities I was thinking about, in addition to Imperial and things like that. So I remember I actually emailed the ISOC president at Oxford whilst I was in sixth form, and I asked him, how is Oxford? Are there lots of Muslims? Is there halal food? Stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
I'm from East London, and
There's,
there's a masjid every few minutes.
yeah, and most of the restaurants are halal, right?
Yeah, like all the restaurants are halal because otherwise they're not going to get any business, right? So I didn't want to come to a place where it would be difficult to kind of practice. There'll be lots of alcohol and things like that.
Yeah.
So I genuinely sent him a long email, and I was really surprised that he replied quite quickly and gave me like all the answers. And um, that was one of the things that really helped me make my decision. Along with that, I think for a few months I was just doing a lot of istikhara. So lots of asking Allah, like, is this good for me? If it is good for me, then help me get in and make the most
Yeah.
of it, inshallah. Um, so yeah, alhamdulillah. And I think you'll see that when you make lots of dua, sincerely, like you actually see it, come out, and it's quite nice. I remember,
Translate into real life.
yeah, exactly. I remember, um, so I messaged the ISOC president when I was in sixth form to ask about Oxford and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I became the vice president for the ISOC
Uh-huh.
last year. And I remember people started emailing me asking me, "Oh, Salaam alaikum, I'm in sixth form. I just wanted to ask, how is Oxford?
It's like a
Is
full
it
circle.
safe?" Yeah, and I was like, SubhanAllah, this is like I made my dua, now I'm here and I'm watching people do what I did,
Yeah.
and it made me appreciate what I am a lot. Um, but I didn't know I wanted to go to Oxford. No, I didn't really know much about Oxford. It was a lot of my teachers and family that kind of pushed me to apply. And I think after speaking to people at Oxford and Cambridge and Muslims, it helped me make my decision as well. What I would say is with university, or even as anyone becomes a bit older in life, try and have like a genuine purpose for
Mhm.
why you're doing those things. So for me, coming to Oxford, it wasn't just, oh, Oxford's a great university and I want to study, but I knew I'd be home alone a lot. So I knew I'd have my own room. And so I told myself, okay, if I get into Oxford, I'm going to, try and learn Arabic. I'm going to try and
Yeah,
memorize
that's really
more of
good.
the Quran and engage with more of my Islamic studies because I just have so much more free time.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, I have been able to. Um, in my room, this isn't my room, but in my room, you can just see I have loads of books in my bookshelf. Um, but like what I mean to say is, with any decision that's as important as university, it's really important to have a genuine like reason as to why you want to do this beyond, oh, it sounds nice or it looks cool. Uh,
Yeah.
that's a part of maturity, and a part of maturing is actually being active in that process. Thinking, why do I want to go to Oxford? Or why do I want to go to this university? Why do I want to work this job? What is it going to do for me? What is it going to do for my life? How did it help me in this life? How did it help me in the afterlife? What's my
Yeah.
purpose here? And if you do that, whatever you do, whether you're at Oxford or a different university, you will end up being successful because there is no point, coming to Oxford and just being aimless, like a headless chicken and walking around. It's really important to have that kind of purpose and align it with the Quran and revelation.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. I mean, that's just inspired me to kind of push to get into a good university now.
Yeah, no,
So
inshallah, you've definitely got the skills to get into top universities.
hopefully, inshallah. So do you think being a physicist has made you more Islamic in a way?
Yeah, I would say that. So Islam means to submit, and I would say that understanding and getting so studying physics, you really get an appreciation for how precise everything is in the universe.
Yeah.
Like there is no mistake. It's not like, oh, randomly things could come out like this. There is literally zero chance of that happening. Or and well, actually, the probability of the universe coming to its current form in existence is would take longer than the actual universe has existed. So there has to be some form of creator, and you'll find that most scientists actually believe in a creator. And I'd say
Mm.
definitely, yeah, it's understanding how complex the world around us is and how perfectly aligned things are, which is the study of physics, and trying to
Yeah.
explain them has definitely helped me understand God and I guess appreciate um, you know the magnitude of God's greatness.
Yeah. How important do you think it is for students and people to study Islam formally?
So I think, yeah, this is really, really important, especially living in the West. And so living in a country like Britain, um, it means that the traditional values of Islam and the traditional ideas that we're taught about in the Quran aren't exposed to us on a daily
Yeah.
basis. And so, whilst in other societies, for example, if you were in history, if you were living in the Ottoman period or the Abbasid period or the Umayyad period, it would
Mm.
be normal for you to learn things about Islam just by osmosis because you'd be around that, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for students and especially parents to understand that we aren't living in that environment right now. And so, what that means is we have to actively choose and decide, okay, how are we going to ensure that we learn about Islam? Um, and so, it's really, really crucial. And one thing to say is that Islamic studies only benefit the other studies.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I'm
100%.
enrolled into the Alamiya program at Darul Uloom, and understanding different nuances in fiqh or looking at the translation of the Quran and understanding how Allah spoke to Bani Israel in Surah Baqarah, things like this, they actually help in your life. And it's a point to make is that the Quran and Islam as a whole isn't just supposed to be one segment of your life. It actually
Yeah.
helps and impacts all of your life in terms of how you treat family, how you approach friendships, how you approach marriage, how you approach studies, how you approach knowledge. All these things, it's a guide for all of those things. And so if you want to do those things best, if you want to succeed at your studies, get a good job, live a good life,
Yeah.
then the way to do that is through the Quran. And we see this in how revelation uplifted the people of Arabia. And so we see, you went from Bedouin tribes who would, bury their daughters alive and had no understanding
Crazy.
of, a greater purpose. And then as soon as they receive revelation and they understand the guidance like Allah sent them, they go from, just being tribal people to then challenging the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire and becoming their own empire and becoming a really formidable force and becoming a society that is, maintains respect, understands the value of family, understands the value of the relationship between parent and child, understands that we have this societal obligation to look after orphans and things like this. So you can really see this is what the Quran
Yeah.
does, and this is what revelation does to people. And so
Yeah.
there should be no question really about should we study Islam formally, because again, in the past, Muslims would already have been studying Islam formally. It would have been a given. No one would even ask, "Oh, should we study Islam formally?"
Mm.
Everyone was always studying Islam formally. It's
Yeah.
only a very modern idea that we don't.
I think that's why Al-Birr is so great because you can still learn your normal GCSEs, but then on the side, because you have all the time in the morning, you can learn about your Quran, learn about Islamic studies. So that's one thing
Yeah.
that Al-Birr is definitely very good at. So Ustad, what do you do for fun? Or is it like all about gravity and like quantum physics and the numbers, stuff
Well,
like
yeah,
that?
no, alhamdulillah, physics is fun. um, but I do things outside of physics, alhamdulillah. So I play a lot of sports. So I
Oh, you do?
play,
Yeah.
I play regular football. So I play for my college football team. I'm a left winger, so I'm
Nice. Yeah.
running down the wing.
Bombing down the wing.
Yeah, yeah. So I play for my college football team. I also play for my college basketball team. So I'm a point guard for my college basketball team. And more recently, I've been playing a lot of paddle.
Oh
It's been
yeah,
really fun.
my dad's talking about paddle. He says it's really good
You should
cardio. It's
play. You
quite
should
fun.
play. It's really fun.
Yeah.
You should play. But as a centre near my house in London, so during the holidays I play like twice a week.
Ah,
But it's
nice.
quite fun. So yeah, a lot of sports. Alhamdulillah. Even in my room in Oxford, I've got a football. Just like kick it around when I'm bored.
Nice.
Um, but alhamdulillah, I grew up playing sports and I really enjoy playing sports. Outside of sport, I do a lot of coding. So I'm
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, I've dabbled. I made this once. I made this like really bad like shooting game,
oh,
and it
really,
was it was like you just have this. It's basically like a box, and then you're
yes.
shooting out little boxes to try and kill the other boxes because I just couldn't
Oh,
make any
okay.
like
Any like other shape.
yeah.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah. Sounds like a good project. But yeah, no, coding has been quite fun. And outside of that, just lots of reading. And obviously I'm involved in the Islamic Society as well. So we run different events, charity events, looking after the prayer room and things like that. Um, but yeah, alhamdulillah. I spend a bit too much time going to like different lectures as well that isn't related to physics. Um, so I probably should do that a bit less. But it's been quite fun to learn about like history, law, things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, just talking to you, I didn't realize like how lucky I am to have all this free time. And you're talking like how much stuff you do in your free time. Because most kids they go to school, they don't have a lot of free time. They have to come home, do their homework. So that's like a really good
Yeah. No,
reminder.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I went to a normal school system. I didn't have the time to do this growing up. I mean, I could play sports on the weekends, but I definitely didn't have as much time as you guys have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really good system.
So Jazakallah Ustad for this little podcast. I'm looking forward to our next physics class, inshallah. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.